this guy was on alert, and I was getting ready to go train, but this fighter pilot pops out 110 miles off Okinawa at dusk. So it's at the end of the day, and it could go into night. So the command decided to restructure the crew. They put me on the flight because I was night water qualified and as an instructor. And so I was aircraft commander and had a major as my co-pilot, and which he outranked me, but I was more qualified. But anyway, so we got there in the helicopter together. We flew 110 miles out and went right to him. Of course, back then we didn't have GPS or anything. We just had to get vectors. They had to cap the fighters over, and so we went out and took us right to him. There's a little single life raft down there. We hovered over him, put the penetrator down, picked him up, and came back. And that's one of those moments I remember too, because of course we've been training, and at Shaw I had a couple rescues guys just taken to the hospital. Some guy got snake bite or just a few, but nothing really to mention. But this guy, we brought him in, and of course they had Far East Network over there then, and his wife was there, and it was a big. I never will forget that woman coming in that helicopter and hugging, and I still get choked up about it. I mean, hugging that husband, that did it for me. That was a great day. But we were kind of stepchildren over there. So for about two days, we were the heroes. I mean, they had all kind of ceremonies and everything, celebrated us and everything. And after 2 days, we kind of went back to being our little rescue cell for our fighter pilot community. But that's the way it was in the Air Force. Our whole job for the first half of my Air Force career was to, go save a fighter pilot that had a bad day and make sure he has the ends of his day in a better position. I mean, that was it. We just train to, when these guys got in a combat environment, go pick them up. Because in subsequent, Shaw had, I think at that time it was called there were tactical air support squadrons. And what happened was, the reason it was set up is back in that era when we had the Soviet Union and we were concerned about the Soviets just, massing a large tank attack, kind of, a lot worse than what we're seeing even in Ukraine now, a lot more successful, and go through the Fulda Gap, and shooting into Germany and attacking, and how we're going to respond to that. So one of the things that the Tactical Air Command did at that time was they had elements of people and equipment and radars that had to be dispersed quickly in order to figure out where the Soviets' aircraft coming in were, so that we could, vector our aircraft to engage them and hopefully win in the battle. So you had to have a whole ground element that went in to set up, radar support sites and all sort of ground elements to help with the eyes and the sensors, if you would, to help our fighters do what they did. So you had to have a support squadron. So the helicopters were designed and tasked with, in that scenario, which thank God we never had to do, fly a bunch of people and equipment in and have them set on the ground as the Soviets came in, and we would attack them and hopefully win the war. That was our job.